Hi everyone. When two tangent lines at the point 1, 2 with foci to ellipse x squared divided by a squared plus y squared divided by 4a squared equals 1, and the two tangent lines are perpendicular at this point, we're going to find the value of a squared. Alright, so basically before we start, let's look at x squared divided by a squared plus y squared divided by b squared equals 1. That's your standard form. But in our case, our b squared equals 4a squared. We're also going to use this formula here to get the equation of the line with the slope m to this ellipse. Alright, so first of all, we're going to have y equals mx plus or minus square root of a squared, m squared, and again our b squared is 4a squared. Alright, and we're going to call this equation 1. Alright, since 1 passes through this point 1, 2, I'm going to substitute in for my x and my y 1, 2. So that's going to give me 2 equals m plus or minus square root of a squared times m squared plus 4a squared. I'm also going to subtract m from both sides and just rewrite this as 2 minus m equals plus or minus square root of a squared times m squared plus 4a squared. And I'll call this one equation 2. Alright, so I'm going to square both sides of the equation. So I'm going to square this and square this. So that's going to give me 2 minus m squared equals a squared times m squared plus 4a squared. This negative gets squared out. Alright, now simplifying all this, I'm going to get... let's see, on this side here, I can write this as m squared minus 4m plus 4, and I just switch these around, equals a squared m squared plus 4a squared. Now I'm going to set everything to 0 and move everything over to the left-hand side of the equation. So basically I'm going to group my m squares together. And when I do that, I'm going to get a squared minus 1 times m squared. Then we still have plus 4m. And then plus 4 times, let's see, a squared minus 1 equals 0. So I just moved everything over and factored out some things. All right, this is going to be called equation 3. Now, before we continue on, since the two slopes, we have two slopes because we have two tangent lines, are the roots of this equation. So we're going to use the relationship between roots and coefficients. And again, I'm going to write this out. We have a squared minus 1 times m squared plus 4m plus 4 times a squared minus 1 equals 0. So basically, I'm going to use the product of the roots. So basically, the product is alpha beta equals c divided by a. So basically, this is your c. So you're going to do alpha beta, the product of the roots is going to be 4 times a squared minus 1 divided by your a. This is your a. So it's going to be a squared minus 1. Now, the two tangent lines are perpendicular. So that means this is going to have to equal negative 1. All right, so if you cross multiply, you're going to get 4 times a squared minus 1 equals negative a squared plus 1. All right, so basically this is 4a squared minus 4 equals negative a squared plus 1. This gives you 5a squared equals 5. Divide both sides by 5 here, and that gives you a squared equals 1. And that's all we needed. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.